Welcome, everyone. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Chaplain Nancy.
She's up here.
Hey, Nancy.
As most of you know, today is the anniversary of the Woodmore bus crash. How many of you in this room were here when we had that catastrophe? So many, many people. I just came from the Children's Hospital where we had a remembrance of that time. I wanted to bring a little bit of that here with us today as well. And in order to do that, we borrowed some stones. Where's Dawn? I promise that they are borrowed from the memorial over at the Kennedy Center. And each of these 6 stones will represent one of the children who died. So we remember now Ziara Mateen, Demayun Brown, Ardea Jones, Zoe Nash, Keontae Wilson, and Ziana Harris. In silence now, may we remember the children who were represented by these stones, children who were injured, perhaps had to go to rehab, children who physically came through it fine, but may be wounded in many emotional and spiritual ways. Remember their families. We remember the staff who were here and all of you, many of you who were here, our larger community, and even the young man who was driving that day. Let us be in silence. We remember, oh God, hold us in your care.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, we have a couple of recognitions tonight, and I would first like to ask Mr. Henry Haas to come join us up front. I have a little proclamation to read. Henry has you served until November 1st, so it's been a couple of months since we've seen you, but this is the resolution for Henry A. Haas. Whereas Mr. Haas was appointed to the Chattanooga-Hamilton County Hospital Authority Board of Trustees on October 31st, 2014, by the legislative delegation. Mr. Haas completed his tenure on November 1st, 2018. Well, that's right. He served until his replacement was named in August of 2019. That was a long time. Whereas Mr. Haas served as chair of the board's Budget and Finance Committee and as member of the Planning and Audit and Compliance and Joint Conference and Accreditation Committees, as well as chair of the Community Health Centers Board and Executive Committee for 3 years. Whereas Mr. Haas drew from his expertise as a certified public accountant to help advance the major goals of the institution, demonstrating dedication and skill in keeping the organization focused on its mission and obligation to provide a full range of high-quality, cost-effective healthcare services to all patients regardless of their economic status. And whereas Mr. Haas has exemplified the role model for all future board members, not only with the Erlanger Health System, but for anyone who is considering serving on the health system or hospital board, he has earned the respect and admiration of the health system's associates, his board colleagues, and members of the executive management. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and Executive Management express deepest appreciation to Henry A. Haas for the unselfish devotion of his time and exemplary service to the hospital authority and for his lasting contributions to the delivery of healthcare in the Chattanooga community. And be it further resolved that this resolution be made part of the minutes for the Board of Trustees and that a copy be presented to Mr. Haas. Congratulations. I just want to say, I want you to say a few words, but I just want to say that, tonight is my last board meeting, and it was, I'll be standing in your place probably in January, and same things being said to me, but it was such an honor to work with you and serve with you and to get to know you as a person and to work on this mission. It just means a lot to me to have gotten to know you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No, I appreciate the opportunity to come and to spend a few years working with the people here at Erlanger. You have an extremely professional staff that does an outstanding job for the tremendous amount of patients that come here and need your services and just do an outstanding, excellent job. It really was very rewarding to me to get to know a lot of the professional people here at Erlanger and see you on a day-to-day basis actually performing those jobs. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and get a chance to do it. Thank you.
And we have a special award, and Will's going to read about it.
Small token appreciation, Henry, but I want to speak to it. So you have, Mr. Chairman. So this beautiful handmade artistic glass creation represents how Erlanger is uniquely positioned to compassionately care for patients throughout the region. As a member of the Board of Trustees, your guidance to the hospital authority has been essential in assuring Erlanger continues providing exceptional care for patients for decades to come. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
Mr. Smart, would you like to make your way up front?
I'm just choking on my phone.
You won't get your picture back until you get, yeah, exactly. Yes, I'm way around that. So.
Thank you, Gloria. Would you like to come up front too?
Not really.
Good.
Okay, it's going to be a little repetitious, but we've got the same resolution, but it's all about Phil Smart. Whereas Mr. Smart was appointed to the Chattanooga-Hamilton County Hospital Authority Board of Trustees on October 31st, 2015 by the Hamilton County Legislative Delegation. Mr. Smart completed his tenure on November 1st, 2019. And whereas Mr. Smart served as chair of the board's planning, audit, finance, and budget and finance committees. He was also a member of the legal, joint conference, and accreditation and management board evaluation committees, and was appointed to the community health centers board and executive committee. That might be a record. I don't know that many trustees cover that that much territory. Whereas Mr. Smart drew from his experience on numerous community boards and business ownership to help advance the major goals of the institution, demonstrating dedication and skill in keeping the organization focused on its mission and obligation to provide a full range of high-quality, cost-effective healthcare services to all patients regardless of their economic status. And whereas Mr. Smart has exemplified the true role model for all future board members, not only with the Erlanger Health System, but for anyone who is considering serving on the health system or hospital board, he has earned the respect and admiration of the health system's associates, his board colleagues, and the members of the executive management. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and Executive Management express deepest appreciation to Philander K. Smart Jr. for the unselfish devotion of his time and exemplary service to the hospital authority and for his lasting contributions to the delivery of health care in the Chattanooga community. And be it further resolved that this resolution be made a part of the minutes for the Board of Trustees and that a copy be presented to Mr. Smart. Bill, thank you. I appreciate it. And I have the same that I expressed for I've known Phil since I believe we met when I joined the Hamlet Place Rotary Club in 1996. So I've known you a lot longer than I've known Henry, but I've not gotten to know you like I have in the last 4 years. And your service to this place has been unmatched, and I appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you, Mike.
You're going to be missed.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have the same.
Phil, you want to give me a remark?
Let me, I've served on a number of boards, and this is the most enjoyable board I've served on. And let me tell you why. I've got to know the doctors, nurses, the staff, and I find that they really take care of our community and our people and give them a better quality of life. That has given me a lot of satisfaction, a lot of joy, and it's really been a real pleasure. We have a wonderful executive now here, and we have a good board, and I know things are going to continue to progress. I want to also thank Gloria for putting up with me. She's the angel of the family, and she's been a real support, but it's been a real pleasure, and I want you all to know how much I love Erlanger system. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. I do want to read this again in Phil's honor. Greg was very proud of this prose, although I'm pretty sure Kitty wrote most of it. Again, this beautiful handmade artistic glass creation represents how Erlanger is uniquely positioned to compassionately care for patients throughout the region. As a member of the Board of Trustees, your governance of the hospital authority has been essential in ensuring Erlanger continues providing exceptional care for patients for decades to come. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the angel in the family.
Thank you all.
Ripping out the bottoms.
Thanks, Greg.
Hey, Phil.
I want to give Kitty a word of thank you for those awards. Those are the first two, and I think I've told her for the past 6 or 7 years that I didn't want one of those Tiffany urns, and so I'll take a little bit of credit for that. But Gerald, you had something to say?
I want to say something as a board member for Phil and for Henry both. And I know I speak for the entire board when I say this. It really has been an honor to work with them both. They've been here for a while, and I know how difficult it is sometimes when you are on a board to make some difficult decisions. And we've had difficult decisions in the past couple of years. We've had decisions to make that have oftentimes, I think, been misunderstood, that have oftentimes cast us in a light that's not necessarily favorable, but we've made decisions based upon the best information that we've had to make those decisions. And I know, being part of the legislative delegation, sometimes decisions can be made that don't, that are not necessarily, sometimes very difficult decisions can be made that put you in a difficult position. And they have both been brave enough to make the decisions that they felt needed to be made based upon the information that they had. And I think that was courageous of them to have done that, and I just appreciate them, and I've just been honored to serve with them. And I think the board would say that they've been honored to serve with them as well. And I just wanted that.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. Thank you for sharing. Okay, let's move on to the review of minutes. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes? Yeah, we might as well. Okay. Thank you, Sheila.
Move for approval.
We're gonna back up. We just said goodbye to 2 trustees, and we need to say hello to a new trustee, Jim Cole. Jim, and I don't have your bio in front of me, but I did read the article in the newspaper today. He has a vast healthcare resume, and I know that he started here, or you worked here for
Started here for 20 years.
20 years. So he's been one of you, and I can't think of a better person to sit on this board rather than, I know we have two physicians that are on the board, but you really know it from the, I guess, more from the financial side, and I think you're going to be a great asset to the board. And I've gotten to know Jim on the UTC board. Dr. Engel, we served on the UTC board at the same time, and this is a nice reunion for one meeting. So that's good. Yeah. So
How
everybody.
many times are you gonna say that?
I told Katie I wouldn't say the number of days. Okay, so let's everyone please welcome Jim Colvin. And I also was given word today that Mayor Coppinger, and of course Jim is the from the legislative appointee, Mayor Coppinger, and I believe it was approved today at the County Commission that Vicki Gregg will be replacing Dr. Baxter, who decided not to do 4 more years. So we'll be welcoming Vicki. Is there going to be a December board meeting? You said
Yes,
something about
the
that today.
19th.
So there may be if there's a board meeting in December, if not in January, we'll be welcoming Vicki Gregg at that time. So, all right.
And you'll just have to come back in January, so it's not as short as you think.
Okay, we good now? All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for getting me straight. All right, so has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes? And if so, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. All in favor? Aye. All right, now we're going to look at our committee reports. Mr. Sattler, did Budget and Finance meet?
We did not have a meeting, no
Okay.
report.
Okay, and Planning did not meet. Gerald?
No meeting.
Sheila, Legal? I know you did, Linda.
I did, and I'll be reporting out with a resolution shortly.
Okay, thank you. And Executive Committee did not meet. I guess you're up.
Okay. I think I'm actually going to talk from here, and I'd like to call your attention to, in your packet, you have Resolution 1911-01, which is the fiscal year 2020 Management Incentive Plan. And you'll find with that resolution supporting documentation that gives you the background for why the decisions have been made that have been made. But let me remind you that this is consistent with Erlanger's history, that we have had in place historically a management incentive plan. I do need to remind you, of course, that the plan is self-paying. The triggers are centered on not only profitability, but also strong financial stewardship, balanced with even a higher percentage of emphasis on patient care, safety, and quality. The payout would only occur if we meet targets, not only financially, but targets which may vary between the different institutions within the health system that focus on those issues related to patient quality care and safety. MBAC did meet as a committee and approved the financial plan, and I would recommend to the board that you approve it this evening. If you have questions, we'd be glad to answer those for you, the we being Greg or I.
Okay, so the trigger, the financial trigger is $5 million?
That's, yes.
Okay.
When I ask, when you say 5 million, that means, would you explain what that means? Because I'm not that well versed in it. If we have a $5 million profit, is this an automatic trigger, or is this something that the board could elect to do something else with 5 million?
Actually, the $5 million is the trigger, but any payout would have to come from dollars above and beyond the $5 million. So that $5 million itself does not fund the
Yeah,
program.
the $5 million is actually the budgeted net income. It's the budget that the board approved this past June. So it is what is budgeted that we should make over the course of fiscal year 20. In dollars, that would exceed the $5 million. If we are able to accomplish that, would fund that incentive plan. So we have to exceed the budget before any dollars would be set aside to pay out the incentive.
Any more questions? No?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, who made the motion?
Dr. Engel.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right, this is the part I've been waiting for. We now are going to have our board election and board officer elections. And I'm gonna just read this to everyone. You'll recall that I previously requested that Linda compile nominations from each of you for the positions of chair, vice chair, and secretary of the board for next year. In accordance with the bylaws and Robert's Rules of Order, the process for this year's election will be as follows. Upon my request, the secretary will identify all the candidates for the position of chairperson. I will then ask for any additional nominations from the floor. Upon receipt of all nominations for the position of chairpersons, we will vote. We will then follow the same process for the position of vice chair and then for the position of secretary of the board. To the extent that there are multiple candidates for any position, Kitty will take a roll call asking that you identify the candidate you are voting for. If there's no opposition, a simple voice vote will be taken. Okay, so we have a quorum tonight, so we'll go forward with, is that Jern?
Who's calling?
Somebody's calling, yeah.
Who?
I think his phone rang. He's been on.
Oh, is on.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
on the phone.
Well, we didn't even recognize that he was there, I'm sorry. Hey, John, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're gonna go ahead and go to the elections. So Linda, do you have a slate of candidates for the position of chairman?
Yes, sir, I do. One nominee, Linda Bynes.
Thank you,
That's
Linda.
awkward.
Thank you, Linda Moss Bynes.
Yes, sir.
All right, do we have any nominations from the floor?
Move to acclamation.
Okay. All right, we will, we have a motion for acclamation. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Madam Chair, do you have any candidates for the position of Vice Chair?
We do. Trustee Sheila Bowen.
Sheila? All right. Do I have any nominations from the floor? Okay. All those in favor of Sheila Boynton as the next Vice Chair, please say yes. Aye. Congratulations, Vice Chairman. Do you have any candidates for the position of Secretary?
Yes, I do. Trustee Gerald Webb.
Gerald? All right, any nominations from the floor? All right, all those for Gerald Webb?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Secretary Webb. That is a great slate of officers, and I'm very proud.
Yes.
Proud of that. Okay, Dr. Bolton, you have a report tonight?
So the only thing I'll mention is that this past year, the MEC has voted to revamp our quality improvement process at Erlanger. So we have engaged Greeley Company to come in as a consultant to do that. So we had a phone conversation with this week, so we're sort of starting that process, and we have some initial meeting in January, and hopefully sometime in the next 6 months, see where that's going to go, but just
Good.
kind of.
Good. Thank you.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Shack.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few things to discuss that the board should be aware of. As many of you already know, our executive dean in Memphis, Dr. Scott Strom, was here in Chattanooga on Monday visiting, and I think he was very impressed with both our student programs and our resident and fellowship programs on this campus. This was really his first official visit to Chattanooga, and I told him, I said, you need to come, at least 3 or 4 times a year, if not more often, and he's agreed to do that. They're planning their next visit here probably in February. He'll come with an entourage of 1 or 2 people that will come to support him. But I think he's got some great ideas for moving education forward on the College of Medicine campuses across the state. So I'm excited about what Dr. Strom's plans are for growing the educational efforts, not just on this campus, but statewide. We had a UT College of Medicine alumni meeting here in Chattanooga at the Reed House on Monday evening while Dean Strom was here. It's the first one we've had in Chattanooga in many years, and I don't remember how long it's been, but Dr. Burns can probably tell us. But it's been at least 5 or 6 years since we've had an alumni event here in Chattanooga. And we hope to have one, if not annually, biannually, every other year, moving forwards, because I think it was a very successful event, not as well attended as I'd hoped it might be, but still very well done, and I think that we'll continue to have those on a regular basis. Along those same lines, the College of Medicine here in Chattanooga is in the process of recruiting a new development officer for the medical school. This is not meant to be in competition with the Erlanger Institute and Julie's work that she does, but to work side by side, raising money for the medical school and not for the hospital. So it's a different effort. We would use these dollars for educational events and those things, as well as helping out with building if in the future if we do develop a fund. That individual has not yet been identified. A search committee has been formed, and we're looking to have somebody from the local area that can come in and work here in Chattanooga to help raise money for the College of Medicine here in Chattanooga. The other thing that's going on is the innovation corridor, as you all know, and many of you are familiar with this. You've been involved with the process since it started about a little longer than a year ago. This is being headed up by Kim White. All of y'all know Kim. She's a past member of this board and a current member of the University of Tennessee Board of Trustees, the only one in Chattanooga, which is really good for us to have her there. And so we've met a number of times, and a select group from Chattanooga actually visited another city on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week that has done the same thing, and they chose Cincinnati as their visiting city. And there are 2 people. I was not able to go because I'm still limping around. I couldn't do a walking tour of Cincinnati, but Dr. Angle was there, and I think Matt Gibson was there as well, representing the university and representing Erlanger. So the other leaders there, we had leadership from Park Ridge, leadership from Memorial, several other civic and industry leaders in this community. Both the mayors were there, so it was a real event. And we're going to meet again right after Thanksgiving, the entire group, to discuss what we've learned from that. And a lot was learned, and I would ask either Dr. Angle or Matt to make a comment, since they were actually physically present at this event. Steve, do you have anything, or Matt?
Happy to. It was a good group, as Dr. Shack mentioned, and they've made a lot of progress in Cincinnati. I think what was evident to our entire group is Chattanooga has some real advantages that Cincinnati does not even have, as far as the finite nature of this corridor. It's a very clear area, whereas in Cincinnati it's more of a widely spread area that they are trying to impact. So we felt really good collectively in our different debriefing discussions that we already have some momentum and we have some real opportunity to make impact up and down this corridor that will benefit all the respective institutions. So
right.
Time well spent.
I would agree. I think there's a lot. There's buy-in, from the other health organizations,
right,
as well as the community And having both mayors there, I think, was really a
Right.
good sign.
And just like we're going to have here in Chattanooga, they had 4 anchor institutions in Cincinnati. They had their Children's Hospital of Cincinnati, the University of Cincinnati, then Tri-Health, which is another health system in Cincinnati, and the University of Cincinnati Health System. Those 4 anchors. We have the same thing here with Erlanger, Memorial, Park Ridge, and UTC, and the University of Tennessee College of Medicine here. So we have the anchors here already, and we're talking about a much smaller geographic area, if you will. So I think we can make a real impact. What the group learned, and I sent Alan Court as my representative to this meeting, and Alan, I spoke with him earlier today. He was impressed by the length of the process. I mean, they've been doing this in Cincinnati now for about 15 years, and they're still evolving. But they're talking about a much bigger city, a much bigger area. But the idea is to impact healthcare in the region, both at the direct onset as well as long-term care for them. You know, not just doctor's visits, but long-term care for the patients. Overall, the group felt like it was a very positive event, and I wasn't there, but I think Steve and Matt would concur with that. And as I said, we're going to get together, this entire group, not just the ones that traveled to Cincinnati, but the entire group's going to get together right after Thanksgiving and kind of digest what we've learned, what they learned, and move forward.
There was a consultant for Erlanger, Bruce Kaminsky, who was
Right.
there, who, in terms of building and helping people get together, he's very good at that.
He is.
So I thought that was a very wise move to have
Right.
him come along.
Yeah, and Bruce was it was Bruce's idea to make this trip, you know, when he was still an Erlanger employed architect. He's now a freelancer, but I mean, he's still very valuable to this process, and I think we should retain him. I mean, that's not my decision to make, obviously, but I mean, I think he's very valuable.
I think he helped the rest of us
Yeah.
with some
Good.
comments, so that was very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes my report, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Dr.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Dr. Jackson?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Just a few comments I want to make, which are, again, I think representative of the great people we have here at Erlanger. First off, the American College of Surgeons recently verified Erlanger Baroness Hospital's at ACS Level 1 Trauma Center. We're the only hospital in this region with this designation, and it's a very distinguished achievement. This required dedicated effort, collaborative work by physicians, clinical staff, and our leadership, and it was a multi-year effort, which is, again, recognizing the excellence we have here at Erlanger in this area. Particular leaders around this, Angie Basham Saif was the nursing leader, Dr. Don Barker and Dr. Bob Maxwell were the primary leaders, but we had many physicians, clinical staff instrumental in this achievement. I didn't see Angie or Dr. Barker here. Dr. Maxwell is in the back. Bob, if you wouldn't mind, again, appreciate your efforts toward this end, and thank you for it.
Services would just like to thank the Baroness and the board for the support and resources put forward to do this. It put us on a competitive level with Vanderbilt and UT Knoxville. Our quality improvement projects and so forth are as strong as they've ever been. And so I think this is where we need to be situated. Going forward, our biggest weakness to address will be our research commitment, and we'll need some help getting that shored up to where it needs to be for the next verification process. But again, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Dr. Maxwell. Appreciate it.
And the College of Medicine is very supportive of those research efforts, and Dr. Pizzorno, who's our Associate Dean for Research, will be very instrumental in helping develop those research plans. So.
Secondly, our nurse residency program for adult acute care, adult critical care, and pediatrics was awarded the ANCC accreditation with distinction, which is the highest level recognition, and we're the only hospital, again, with this accreditation in the region. ANCC stands for the American Nurses Credentialing Center. The recognition confirms that we've implemented a practice transitional program that utilizes best practices and is exceptional by all standards. Jill Steelman is our leader for this. I did see Jill in the back. Jill, again, thank you for your leadership on this. I do want to invite Jan Keys, who oversees, again, our superb nursing corps, to maybe make a comment or two.
I just want to thank Jill and then Dr. Bill Crow both for driving this forward. And just for your information, we have about retention of 80% of those nurses, which is really unheard of in the nursing world today. But it does tell you that we have some inexperienced nurses, but they have been trained very, very highly. And so with patience, they will get there. So we're asking for your patience and your partnership on that. But thank you, Jill. Thank you, Dr. Crow.
Thirdly, Liz Appling, Erlanger's Chief Diversity Officer, was recognized at the recent NAACP 32nd Annual Ruby Hurley Image Awards Banquet. She received the NAACP Diversity and Inclusion Image Award. I did see Liz in the back. Liz, congratulations. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the recognition, and it was a great example of diversity and inclusion. New board members, I want to thank you all for doing that, and congratulations. That's a great example you just showed. Linda, and Sheila, and Cheryl, congratulations.
Pretty diverse.
Fourthly, Jim Fox and Johnny Hale received the Medical Hospital Heroes Award from the American Red Cross, Southeast Tennessee. Jim and Johnny are long-term associates in our Life Force program. Linda Minks Hood, who is the chair of our foundation, was recently recognized by the Association of Fundraising Professionals Tennessee, Southeast Chapter. She was awarded the Leadership Fundraiser of the Year.
Wow.
And then in closing, just want to make a few comments around personnel. First off, some of you may notice Floyd Chassie is new to the table. Floyd is our Chief Human Resources Officer as a Senior Vice President. Was recently promoted consistent with our goal to put people first, but also consistent with his own merits. Floyd's a superb leader, and I'm proud to have him as part of our leadership team. Secondly, Phil Jackson, who has been a longstanding servant leader out at East as our CEO, is going to be moving to Centera, again, a large multi-hospital system in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. I don't see Phil here this evening, but I do see his replacement, Martha Weeks, who has been a long-tenured nursing leader at Erlanger, really leads from the front. Proud to announce that she is our interim CEO at Erlanger East. Martha. And then lastly, Matt Gibson, who's been with us a little over 2 years, again, a superb addition in terms of our strategy and really driving performance in that area. I think everyone saw a recent announcement. He has been named CEO of Siskin, so still a great partner to us, and all we need to do is walk across the bridge and we'll be able to get his insights whenever we need to. Happy for Matt in that role. And his replacement also here as interim strategy leader is Steve Burkett. Steve, if you wouldn't mind rising. Steve has again led in various areas at Erlanger across his tenure, has been a valued source of insight and counsel to me, and again, I'm glad he's moving into this role. I think it's a testament both to the leaders that we have, the bench strength that we have, as well as the fact that other organizations desire some of the executives we have. It just speaks again to Erlanger and to the people that we have. So again, appreciative for these leaders who are both coming into these roles and then moving on to other phases of their career. Mr. Chairman, that's my report.
Thank you. Thank you. And congratulations, Matt. That was awesome news to hear, but also congratulations to all those promotions that you just mentioned too, and good work. Okay. So does anyone have any other business tonight? No? We're adjourned.